Victoria has recorded no new locally transmitted coronavirus cases. A day after it was discovered, a Melbourne man caught the virus after completing hotel quarantine in South Australia. His reporter Dana Morse with more. Dana, so good news, no new local cases reported today.
Absolutely, Ros. It's fantastic news that after 21,000 tests done yesterday and today, there have been no new positive cases here in Victoria. But the state government has warned us that there may be more results coming in later today, and we'll definitely keep you abreast of those figures as they're coming in. Now, there have been 12 exposure sites identified so far in relation to this case of the man who's from Wollert. So he flew from India to the Maldives and then Singapore before coming into Adelaide to do 2 weeks of hotel quarantine, then flying to Melbourne, and that's where he's tested positive yesterday for the virus. Now, the two newest exposure sites are two metro train lines, and that is the Craigieburn to Southern Cross train line and the Flinders Street to Craigieburn train line on the 7th of May, so last Friday night. People may remember last Friday, Richmond was playing Geelong at the MCG. It's very common for people to take the train in to watch the footy, so at the moment the health advice is that anybody who was in the train stations or on those train lines will need to get tested and isolate until they receive a negative result. Now, as well as that, there is the Jetstar flight that the man took from Adelaide coming into Melbourne. That's JQ flight 771, and that was on the 4th of May. Now, health authorities believe it's very unlikely that this man would have acquired the virus while this man would have passed the virus on while on this flight. However, out of an abundance of caution, they're asking all 100 passengers who were on board to go and get tested. But the two key exposure sites here in Melbourne remain the Curry Vault restaurant and the warehouse in Altona North. And there are several other exposure sites in Epping, and the government has set up a mobile testing clinic in that area so that people can go and get tested quickly and hopefully return more negative results.
So what's the public health response been like there, Dana?
Well, it's been a little bit mixed so far, and we are still waiting to see whether we turn up more positive cases. The focus is now going to be on QR codes and contact tracing, which has been an ongoing problem here in Victoria. Now, earlier today, the Health Minister, Martin Foley, stood up and said that it is now more important than ever for people to be using QR codes whenever they go into a business, a restaurant or a cafe. And here's what he had to say on that.
The most important thing you can do when you come to a restaurant or a facility that requires QR codes is to check in. It's your responsibility as an operator of a facility, but it's also your obligation as a customer or a participant in an organisation. So I want to thank everyone who did do that, but more need to come forward.
Now, despite this, we were down in De Grave Street this morning. For those that don't know, De Grave Street is a very popular cafe precinct here in Melbourne CBD. People get off the train at Flinders Street, walk through De Graves to grab a coffee. And we spoke to several customers about whether or not they'd been using check-in codes, whether or not they'd seen other people using check-in codes. And here's what they had to say.
Everyone's really complacent now, so I think that just generally people don't even think about it anymore. So I went to Officeworks this morning and I checked in with the QR code. No one else did, so yeah.
Do you use QR codes to check in when you visit restaurants, shops, that sort of thing?
No, not always. If they ask me, I will, but if they don't ask me, I don't.
Yeah, so you've never been approached to use a QR code?
No, not really, no. Sometimes when you sit down, they say, oh, can you use a QR code? But it's very rare.
Now, being asked may become a new fixture here in businesses in Victoria, as the Health Minister flagged that there will be a QR code enforcement plan coming. We get to know what exactly that means, but we can expect it probably means there'll be penalties for businesses and patrons caught not using QR codes properly. As well as that, the Health Minister said there will be a state-based QR code system that will be running here in Victoria very soon. Now, that will bring Victoria into line with many of the other states across the nation who already have state-based QR code systems. Minister Foley also said that the next couple of days are going to be absolutely critical for Victoria, and whether or not we return more positive cases and how that contact tracing effort goes will determine whether there are any restrictions or a lockdown here in the state.
Dana, thank you.